Hey everyone! With so many ways that you can put yourself out there online, it can sometimes feel really overwhelming to try and narrow it down into a single strategy, especially if you want a strategy that is a good fit for your purpose, a good fit for your personality, and that resonates with your best fit clients. So today we're going to keep things super simple. If you want an online marketing strategy that works for you, stick around and let's talk. Today, my guest is Kelly Higdon. Kelly is the co-founder of ZynnyMe, where her and her partner Miranda are committed to helping therapists like you create their dream life and practice. Kelly is also a licensed therapist who has gone on the journey of building her own practice too. Through becoming a business coach for therapists and starting the Business School Bootcamp program, Kelly has helped hundreds of therapists build successful practices. Today, Kelly shares insights with us on creating an online marketing strategy for your private practice. We discuss the benefits of creating an online marketing strategy, common mistakes that you might make with your strategy, a walkthrough example of an online marketing funnel, what the most effective online marketing activities for therapists are, how to start putting together an online marketing strategy, even if you're overwhelmed, and one thing that you can do right now to start creating an online marketing strategy. Let's talk. Hey Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Kat.
Yay. So I wanted to talk to you about online marketing strategy. And I think the thing that I see with a lot of therapists is they have a lot of marketing activities, but they may not be putting it into kind of a systematized strategy that they can follow and measure over time. So what do you think is the benefit of a strategy for marketing a therapy private practice online?
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned it in terms of being able to see what's working and what isn't. So that way you really focus your action and that saves you time. Purposed action always is a good thing, I think, because it reduces burnout. A lot of people, when they get started, you're really excited. It's kind of like dating. You think about that person all the time. You want to be with them all the time. Then after you've been married like 10 years, you're like, it's, it's you want to do stuff that keeps the momentum going because it works. And that will also give you confidence. I think when we don't have a strategy, it's coming from a place of, lack of knowledge or kind of fear as to what to do. And once you start seeing like, oh no, I know why I spend my time on Facebook, or I know what I need to be talking about because this is what benefits my audience, man, that's a good feeling. And so confidence, reduction of burnout, saving time, and giving you more purpose, I think are all benefits of it.
Totally. That's awesome. And I think too, when therapists are starting to move into trying to put together a strategy, there might be some things that they're not exactly doing correctly. Are there common mistakes that you see therapists making when they're trying to start putting together a strategy? Maybe they've been marketing for a while and then they're like, okay, let's put something together.
Right.
Where can therapists go wrong, basically? Yeah.
I think one of the big things is having pieces, but they're not put together. So there's no flow. I know we talk about this idea of funnel, and it sounds something that's very online marketer-ish, but it's simply that if you think about what a funnel does, is that people drop in and you move them all into one centralized place. And a lot of the pieces I see that people do not move into a place. It moves over here and over here. So, the call to actions are all different and it's not streamlined, like the message of like, this is my focus of my practice. This is where I want people to go. And having that one kind of focus is important, especially when you're starting. You can add other things later after you've gotten one down. Because if you look at like what we did with Business School Bootcamp, we did that, and we've done it for a few years before we added Most Awesome Conference. We did Most Awesome Conference a couple times before we added something else. And we don't do them all at the same time because it's confusing. The more options you have for people, the more choices can equal more inaction because people get stuck. They don't know how to make a decision. But if there's only one clear option, it's easier for your audience. So I think that's a big mistake. Or just trying everything, kind of that like shotgun method of like, boom, 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 boom. Oh, that worked. Or, and so that is also something I see. And when you try to do everything, you usually don't do it well. If you focus on one or two ways of marketing, you can make it really nice and beautiful and focused. When you add a bunch of stuff in there, it can get kind of overwhelming and then you don't know which way is up. So those are some of the common things I see.
Yeah. Can you say more about what a funnel is? Because just for anyone who doesn't understand, like what would a funnel look like as an example for like an online marketing funnel?
Yeah. So if you think about, you have a Facebook post, where does that Facebook post ask them to go to next? So you're capturing people at the opening of the funnel. So you've got people that wander around on Facebook or share your post on Facebook. So they've entered into the funnel. Now where do you ask them to go? You can post all the beautiful inspirational stuff you want, but at some point you want them to go to your website or a specific blog. And then when they get to your website, then what do? What's the next step? Is the next step for them to dig in more deeply? Is it for them to download an ebook from you? Not that I'm a big fan of ebooks. I'm not a big downloader of those, but if that's what resonates. So there's steps. It's like, how are you building the relationship? So when you think about what you post on Instagram or Facebook, where do they go from there? And then what's the next step from there? And the next step from there? And every time you have to tell them. I think people think, oh, they'll figure it out. No, you have to say, click here. Go download this. That is the way we are as human beings. We have to be told. So that is a funnel. So moving from one point A to the final destination, which would be for someone in private practice might be scheduling the appointment, or if you were a speaker, booking in the speaking engagement, or if you're a writer, buying the book, right? So how do you get from this point to this point? And that's the funnel. And there's different steps in that process. It's not just, here's a post, buy my book. Again, back to the dating analogy, that's like going up to someone saying, hey, I think you're good looking. Let's get married. No, you want to like get to know them, build a relationship,
romance them,
and then propose.
I love that analogy. That's so hilarious. Yeah. So that kind of leads me up to my next question, because I know you have a ton of experience working with therapists, like a large quantity of therapists, and helping them realize their dream businesses. So do you have a feel for, I mean, you may not have metrics for this, but do you have a feel for what is the what are more effective online marketing strategies for therapists generally, or is it going to be something that's going to be very specific to the clinician, and other things like where they're located, what their niche is, etc.?
Okay, it's both.
Okay.
I would say first, whatever's most effective is using the tools that match your personality, that resonate with the ideal client, and serve your purpose. So there are some people out there, like I have a friend, she's redoing her website, a brilliant writer. Like when she writes, it just draws you in. So when I'm thinking about her online strategy, I'm thinking blogging and whatever kind of written stuff she can do. So that really matches her personality, and her ideal clients like to read. So it's a good fit, and it serves her purpose in that way of reaching them. So I think you need to be thinking in terms of that, doing what you can do best and consistently, and in a way that it reaches your ideal client. That's the most effective. Now, in terms, generally speaking, I do think video is one of a great way to go about things. Not everybody's comfortable on video, but you can learn that. These are skills that you can learn. I think having videos and things like that can be part of it, or auditory, because then that way people can see you or hear you, and that's another great way to build trust. So I think one of the things to consider is, where are you most vulnerable when you're putting yourself out there, because that's usually going to be the best way that you're going to connect. In terms of like, we talk about the beginning of the funnel when you come to a website, if you want to capture emails and do all of that. I don't have a sense as to this is the best way. It really, again, it is the best way when it is that person shining through, and that could be writing or video, but don't do something just because you think you should. That usually you can tell when someone's like, oh, I just slapped an ebook up there, something like that. And it's like, you want it to be really resonant with, and the passion to come through for what you're doing. Does that answer the question though, Kat?
Yeah, no, it does. It totally does.
Okay. All right.
But it did make me think of a follow-up question, which I think maybe some viewers might have on their mind, is like, so, okay, it sounds like really great. Just, go with where your strengths are and where the audience is. But what if I choose something that's like not going to be effective at all, or, maybe...
You will.
Okay.
You totally will. You are going to. Let's just get that out of the way. People come to us and they'll say, okay, I want to do this funnel. And then they get so frustrated when it doesn't work the first time. But I say, as long as you're getting analytics and data from it to be able to make a different decision, it's working. Because you got to try a lot of things, but you need to do it systematically and not all at once. That's what we're really talking about. And there will be times where I saw someone, they did a Facebook Live, very vulnerable, was not expecting it, but it went viral. And it can be unexpected. But then you learn from that, and then you make a different decision, like in the future, about how you do your marketing. So you're going to have stuff that's going to totally flop, because you're going to learn from your audience. Like Miranda and I had 2 other programs before Bootcamp. One we couldn't even sell. The other one we did, but then we realized that that our clients needed something else before they got to learning those skills. And so that's where Bootcamp got created. So years of doing stuff that was like, it was just kind of slowly shifting us and guiding us to where we are now. And so that's going to happen. And that's okay. You don't get married to it. The idea is like, I kind of see it as fun, like trying new things and getting to create and see what works, but just being consistent with it is what's important. Sometimes people be like, oh, I didn't fill my group practice, or I didn't, like, they have a group therapy group that they're doing, but they really didn't put it out there in a consistent way. That's not what I'm talking about. You may have, and all these things, and then you discover, oh, that's not the need of my client. Well, that's going to tune you in better to what they need. Now I feel like I'm babbling, but...
No, I think it's super, like, where you went with this, it was super interesting, because you're also speaking to how online marketing and marketing efforts, when they're measured correctly, can also inform your services.
Totally.
Right. So you can completely, like, validate ideas or invalidate ideas against the market interest.
Yeah, like Facebook ads, for example, which is not something I suggest for a lot of clinicians, and I have my reasons why. That's a whole other story. But let's say you're wanting to do like A Facebook ad. Well, how do you pick the image? Well, you test it out for free amongst your audience and see what people actually click on, and then you test the copy, then you put it together, and then once you get an idea of like, oh, this is getting shared or liked, then you can promote that. Then you can put money behind it. So I always like doing the free stuff first and then paying for the stuff I know works to like boost it up quickly.
Yeah, that's totally the right approach. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on stuff that's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've done both.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. We've all made mistakes in marketing.
Yeah, and that's really like why we're doing what we do, right, Kat? Is to help people get there more quickly and avoid some of those mistakes and learn from our expensive lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love talking about all the higher level like strategy stuff and what to do, what not to do, mistakes. But I can also feel into that space of being just completely overwhelmed by online marketing and online marketing strategy, like trying to put everything together and like, oh, what should my first funnel be? Do you have any guidance for that piece of it where it's just like, okay, this is like so overwhelming. What am I going to do? How does someone deal with that? And maybe how do they start venturing onwards with online marketing, even from having that overwhelm?
I think always starting with the end in mind. And typically for online marketing, that means the website. Typically, not always, but I think it's a good place to start with your website and really look at it. Is the message clear? Is the call to action there? Are you kicking them in the gut? That's what I always like to say. Like when someone reads it, they're like, oh gosh, was she in my kitchen this morning? Because she's totally in my head. Like I want them to know that I get them. And so really looking at your website and saying, is this clear? Is the path clear? Message, all of that. I think that's where you can start. Also, as an aside to that, not getting so perfectionistic that you never move beyond it. I think, but you want at least the messaging to be on point, and that will evolve over time. I'm in the process of rewriting copy for my other website, and it's, it just keeps growing and changing. And so got to have a lot of compassion for yourself with that stuff. So I think starting with the website is important. Are you asking in terms of like if someone wants to start a funnel or just before they get started on it?
Well, I think what I see a lot of is sometimes like a lot of the clients that I work with, they'll have a website and then they won't know how to proceed with the online marketing piece. And once they start looking into it, they start looking into SEO and they start looking into Facebook ads, or they start looking into a bunch of different online and digital marketing strategies, activities that they could be doing. And then they're just like, oh, like paralysis. I don't know where to go. It's almost like what you were saying before of like, if you are putting yourself out there with a lot of different options, people won't know which way to go. And it also happens on the reverse side when you're trying to put together online marketing strategy and you see all of these different options and then you don't know which way to go.
Okay. So I think the first step is to look at your target market, your ideal client, that customer avatar, all those online strategy lingos, and where do they hang out? And if you don't know, Google it. Google who uses Instagram demographics, Facebook demographics, and just start there. Find out where they hang out online. And where else do they get services? Because I believe a part of the online marketing strategy is to turn those things into relationships. So LinkedIn, for example, it's how I met Joe Sanic, and then we started Most Awesome Conference before we had even met in person. I think I met Julie Hanks there. I've met a lot of people through like LinkedIn, and I've turned them into offline relationships. So you're going to want to think about who do you want to build a relationship with that could refer and that you could cross support each other as well. So you're thinking about the direct client and then the other referrals. Where are they online and where can you build connection? Then you want to, okay, let's say they're on Instagram. Well, how do I use Instagram? Google it. How to use Instagram. And start like playing around with building relationships on Instagram, using hashtags, and thinking about where do I want them to go from Instagram? Do I have something else that I can offer? So maybe that is like a download, an ebook, or something, a video, anything that you can continue to move them towards your website. So that's where I would just start. One platform. That's it. That's it. Just start with one and then really get to understand how to use it. And there's analytics on Instagram, for example, and on Facebook where you can see like, oh, okay, this is what's trending. This is what's popular. This is how I can kind of get in there, all of that. So is that helpful?
Yeah, that is. I mean, it breaks it down and makes it more like step by step, like step one, do this. And I really appreciate also how you're being a minimalist in that you're not saying, oh, just go on every single platform there is. And, you know.
You wouldn't know it by the guitars behind me. Those are not mine. But I am a minimalist at heart. So that's probably why it translates into business.
Yeah, no, it totally does. It does. I think that but it also helps with that overwhelm, right? So even if you're not a minimalist in your heart and you're just trying and you're feeling overwhelmed, like maybe try doing something more in a more minimal way.
I started writing a blog the other day about like, why are you not getting stuff done? And it's really comes down to you have too much information. And you need to simplify. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons why people get stuck. And we talk about it in Bootcamp, shiny object syndrome is everywhere, you know, and even in Bootcamp, you were like, oh, so-and-so is also going to do this. And now they're going to pay for their SEO. It's like, no, stay your course. Because there are so many things you can do in so many ways, but you've got to focus on you. You can't compare. You really can't. And there's no magic wands. You know, people look at each other and they assume, oh, they're doing video, so I should do video. Well, what you don't know is that they've been doing video for like 2 years and it finally just now is coalescing. There was a lot behind it. And so focusing on yourself is important.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So you've already shared like so much actionable advice. But I would like to also ask if you could advise a therapist that wants to start being more strategic in their online marketing. What is like their one first step, like a one small, tiny first step, maybe something they could do today after watching this or tomorrow?
Go back and see what you already have. Before you add, look at what is in front of you. Look at the analytics of your website. Look at like what's been popular, where your relationships are. You know, just kind of do a survey of resources before you start expanding. Because I think sometimes we don't leverage what is right in front of our face before, and we think adding something new is better. But I bet you that there is stuff that you're already doing that's working and stuff that you're doing that's not, that you can eliminate to make room for new things, right? So when people, I think that's the other aspect of overwhelm, right? Adding, it's like, I have no room. Well, that's because we need to cut out the stuff that isn't really working for you and letting it go. And I know it can feel kind of sad, and maybe you need a little memorial for your Facebook page that just died, you know, that needs to die because it's not healthy for you or for what you're doing in your business. And that's okay. You know, you put a lot of time into something. So let's see what can be eliminated. And you know this by basically numbers. What gets shared, what gets liked, what gets seen and viewed. That will help a lot. So start with what you have.
That's an awesome tip.
Oh, good.
I love it. Thank you so much for all of your amazing insights today.
Thank you for having me. And I'm excited. I love what you do, Kat. You know that. So
Aw.
thank you for letting me be support here. And of course, if anyone out there that's overwhelmed, it's normal, but you can change it. It'll be okay. And I know Kat really can help with that piece of the website stuff to help you. So
Aw, thank you. I love what you're doing. Actually, can you tell us a little bit about where people can find you and about Bootcamp? And are you also doing, you're also doing the Most Awesome Conference next year as well, right?
yeah, Most Awesome Conference will be in 2018. So I don't even know where we're going to have it. I still want to keep it in Southern
Greece,
California.
Greece.
I know. But yeah, you can find me and my business partner, Miranda Palmer, at ZynnyMe.com. And you can spell that in the show notes, Kat, since it confuses people. But we created a Business School Bootcamp, which is a lifetime membership for as long as we offer the program. Program that runs twice a year, and the doors are opening. Actually, today is the opening date, and then they close, I believe, April 13th. And it's 2 weeks and 8 modules and online coaching from me and Miranda, and you get to come back every year and work on your business. Over 500 therapists have done it, and it's been incredible, and it just keeps growing. And basically, when you're done with those 8 modules, you've created your business plan, marketing plan, and financial plan for your practice. We have people that are considering practice to those that have been in practice over 25 years that do it. So it kind of grows with you. So if you want to check that out, you can go to bschoolbootcamp.com as well.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for all of the great work that you're doing with therapists.
Thank you.
Yay.
All righty.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Kelly shared some absolutely awesome tips with us today. To get notes and links for today's session, you can do so on my blog at catlove.com/session12. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.